General Mike Flynn has a warning for Trump. He said, if we don't do this true release and expose everything, he said the fakeness and the opportunity to make AI-generated photos, he said what we're going to do is we're going to water down the true list with fakeness. He said, including implicating Trump. He said, but what we're going to do is we're going to make it where no one knows truth again. He said, now that might be what elitists want. He said, but if Trump really wants to get ahead of this and not ruin his legacy, he must do this. We're going to discuss that in detail from where Alex Jones and Mike Flynn were discussing a Trump warning. Also, we're going to discuss Democrats. I mean, we're going to talk about Mamdani, how he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. Raise taxes to fund police and tell you that you're going to go up on property tax. 10% in New York City. That doesn't affect the billionaires. It affects everyone that owns homes in Queens, in the Bronx, all these areas that are not the wealthy. We're going to discuss that. Also, Hillary Clinton comes out against Christians, conservative Christians. Again, they're the problem. Really? What about the school system? School systems are needing more funding to fail your children even more. But guess what? Some of the things they're pushing. Wait till you hear it. We're going to go over these Democrat policies because the Republicans are so weak and so inept. However, the Democrats are destroying everything. We need to get back to a balanced basis of what can we do? We got to step away from the system. That means new money, a new life, homeschooling. We're going to discuss all that. And that brings me to the last point, the aging farmer. Is this a big deal? It's a very big deal. What else is wrong with the farming situation? Well, China is buying more farmland. We're going to discuss how much farmland they own as of today. And also, we hear a national defense push that Trump is wanting more phosphorus, glyphosate, more chemicals to go in our food. Isn't that funny how Kennedy is pushing against it? But Trump knows that conventional farms and the way this is done and the way we feed America is through chemicals. None of this is good, but it all comes back down to the farm, your food. How important is your food? Well, it better be pretty important because that's how we live. Now the question is, what's good food? What's bad food? And what's food that makes us sick and makes us healthy? We're going to discuss all that today. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. Now we're going to do a giveaway. I want to do a giveaway tomorrow for January. I have not forgotten that. We've just been crazy on everything with these news stories, but tomorrow I'm going to do a giveaway. So make sure you are subscribed to this channel and the Colby Mac channel. That way you will be entered into the giveaway and we will send you a big prize pack of things that we just love to give you. Our soaps, our stuff from farm, t-shirts from our merch store, and just a lot of good things that you would enjoy. Hundreds of dollars worth of gifts. So make sure you are subscribed. Now let's jump into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about this situation with what Mike Flynn just stated, because I think it's a very big statement, because a lot of this is coming true. I want you to listen. It says, General Mike Flynn responds to the reports that the deep state is attempting to blackmail the president and his family with fake Epstein stories, targeting his wife, targeting his family, targeting him with all this AI propaganda. I'm advising the president to expose the plot and release the files. He said the American people will stand with him. Here's why, because he's willing to do something that no other president has done. He said no matter how much is exposed people, because this is what the American people want. Over 75% of people are wanting this list to be seen, even if it causes detriment to our economy. I think we all need a cleansing, and this is it, by understanding the dangers of the depravity of what's going on. You see, the Prince Andrew just got arrested again. Bill Gates is not attending an India summit. We also saw another banker over across seas in, I think, Finland that got busted. You're starting to see it overseas, but not here. It's time to expose it here. Mike Flynn says if we don't, what is actually happening? And he's true, he's right. He says we're exposing all these different names and all these propagandas and AIs being used to create this fake list to then therefore water down the people that actually did the crimes. And he said what you're seeing is a lot of people going after Trump when really Trump had nothing to do with it. And he said a lot of these photos have already been known as AI generated. He said, but because we're choosing not to release the real list and files, what we're doing is we're actually making up fake assumptions, and therefore it's going to end up ruining a lot of people's lives. He said this is where we've got to get clarity. He said it doesn't come from Congress. It doesn't come from the judiciary. He said it comes from President Trump. He said this is where President Trump should be shining and opening doors to making this happen. He says if it doesn't, it will taint his legacy. And he said, to be honest with you, he will be assumed to be all up in the list and assumed to be all up in these people's lives, tied to all this stuff like Letnick and all this. Is going to keep on opening doors. He said not for just the truth, but he said for false allegations that are going to deem to be true, because no one is going to know the truth. So we need to pay attention to that. I thought that was a very good assessment by General Flynn. He was telling Alex Jones, and Alex Jones said this yesterday, that if we want true, a leadership, it's going to take being honest with the American people. He said that's what we've forgotten, is how to be honest with the American people. The politicians have forgotten this, and they have. We've got one that's tied up in all kind of depravity. We've got other ones tied up in affairs. We have other ones tied up with stock picks. We have other ones tied up in insider trading. What we're realizing is our political class is ruling us, not leading us, not representing us, not serving us, but ultimately trying to control us and take advantage of us. This is where Trump has got to come out and go against this. Now, that brings up to another point of announcement he made yesterday, and this deals with RFK and our food. We'll talk about the farm in just a second, but I want to make a notice to this, is that there was a national fence push that he was worried. And see, when you think about this, a lot of this comes from overseas. Phosphorus, glyphosate, a lot of these are parts of the farming sector that we're going to get into, but I don't agree with any of them, by the way. I believe in natural fertilization, natural, the ways of growing gardens. However, I digress. We'll talk about that in a second. But what I want to pay attention to is Trump is setting this up with the military deployment and all of a sudden saying this is a national defense issue to get all this phosphorus and stockpile some of these things that we need for growing food we need here. What that means is there's something big coming. We just don't know what it is. It could be this conflict with Iran. It could be the situation. There could be some more release coming. It could be a situation that the market's going to struggle. All the while, I think it's a pretty big deal to say, even though RFK is pushing against it, even though RFK is pushing for regenerative ag, even though the farms are struggling, which we're going to talk about, Trump thought it was a national defense issue to stockpile as much as he can when it comes to growing crops. I think that means something big is coming. Either a release is going to take place, something that they don't want exposed comes out, a market collapse, or this conflict with war. Now, we're going to go into the farming a little bit more, but let's go along with what these Democrats are pushing for first. I want to go to three things with three different Democrats. First Democrat is Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani came out and stated that we're in an emergency situation in New York. We have no money, and I want to give all this free stuff. So, he talked about tax on billionaires. That's not what he's talking about anymore. He's talking about 10% property tax across the board. That means anyone with a home now, guys, has got a 10% tax. Not only that, he stated that he's going to defund 5,000 police officers. Going to get rid of them. You think that's going to make New York City safer and better? He wants more funding. He wants New York City has about a third of the people of Florida. Now, like 8 or 9 million. Florida has about 22, 23 million. I think somewhere around those numbers. So a third maybe. He wants to have a budget that is literally almost 50% more than the whole state of Florida just to run New York City. Why would he need that? Not because they don't make enough money. It's because he wants to control the population. The more you break people, the more they are dependent on you. And that's what you're seeing with this Democratic push. Defunding police, asking for more money, taxing more people, and telling you if we don't, we're going to have emergency chaos. He said, actually, we're going to see 2008 and 2020 all over again in New York City. This is his exact words that he used. He said, we've never seen where he's going to literally rob from the retirement pension plan in New York City. That's what he just said. He said he's going to pull that money in an emergency case because New York City needs the money. Isn't it funny how he promised all this free stuff and now he's overtaxing and taking the retirements of all the people that's worked hard? That's one instance. Two instances. Hillary Clinton came out and stated that Christians are the problem. The exact quote. Elon Musk came out and talked about how he believes that, that the teachings of Jesus is correct. I love that. I love the fact that he's moving towards Jesus. I hope that he gets saved and converted. I hope he does. But the same day he stated that, Hillary Clinton comes out and states that the spiritual battle and the problem in America with his value system is that it's really the white Christian male is the biggest problem in America. So you have a Democrat pushing for more taxation, to overregulate you, to cost you more. You have another one pushing for, Christianity bad, white men are bad, conservatives are bad. We need a more balanced approach to America. Every day I wake up and I look at accounts. I look at my equities. I look at the stocks that I have. I look at the mutual funds I have. I look at the retirement accounts that I have gotten. I also think about the gold and silver I've put up. I think about the food I put up. You know why? Because I want to know that I'm diversified and I can take care of myself. Actually, I mean, we have a dollar crisis going on. Our Congress is still spending money like crazy. Since 2020, did you know that you've lost about 20 to 25% of your spending purchasing power? Meaning your dollar is now worth 75 cents, roughly. Now, that's not good. That means the money that you've put up is actually losing money. It's losing value. It's losing purchasing power. I don't know about you, but that doesn't make me happy when I work as hard as I do for that money. The reason I push you to buy gold and silver is because look at it. It's still making crazy gains when everything else is struggling. I feel like, crypto and equities are both on roller coasters because of tech stocks or because of politicians or because the way the world looks at it. And then I don't want to go to crypto because, my goodness, I mean, that's dangerous in itself because that reminds me of digital currency. That's why I always turn back to gold and silver. That's why today's sponsor, Augusta Precious Metals, is key to any diversified situation to where you're trying to protect yourself. They can help you build a tax-advantaged IRA that benefits you for diversifying and having a safety net. Having gold and silver is not just about building this wealth because we're not uber rich. You know what it is? It's a peace of mind to know that the money I've worked for, the time and effort I've put towards trying to have some wealth to pass down to my children, have a legacy, that it's safe. Now, gold and silver has been around for how many years? Thousands. Now, I think about the dollar, I think about the euro, I think about all these other dollar currencies and all these other situations where it's manipulated. It's all based on the world, it's based on politics. And to be honest with you, most currencies rise and fall in just a few years, decades, maybe 100 years, 150 years, but none of them has held the rate of what gold has. Gold has skyrocketed lately. If you would have remembered me just a few years ago telling you to buy it when silver was at like $15 an ounce, $20 an ounce, or telling you to buy gold when it was at $1,500 or $1,800 an ounce, now these things are upwards of 3 to 4 times that value. Do not miss on the opportunity to protect yourself and give yourself a peace of mind. Go to maxlovesgold.com or text the number below. I want you to feel like you have safety in gold and silver. To me, it gives me that. It gives me a peace of mind to know that it's going to be okay. No matter what this currency does, or the dollar does, or the push for CBDC or crypto, I have something that's got world value, gold and silver. It's kind of been around for a long time. I think about it in the Bible, all these precious metals. Let Augusta Precious Metals help you. Reach out to them today. Go to maxlovesgold.com. They can give you all the information you're needing. Spend 10, 15 minutes looking at the documents, and you're going to realize how valuable it is to have some of your money in gold and silver. They are the name when it comes to precious metals. Check with Augusta Precious Metals today. maxlovesgold.com. Let's keep on going. Third instance. This is happening in Washington, also Oregon, also California. Listen to this article right here. It says, while everyone was enjoying their holidays, Washington state Democrats quietly passed an income tax that would restrict not just the millionaires. Listen, it says Washington State Senate just passed the unconstitutional state income tax that even though they called it a millionaire's tax, just like what they're doing in California and New York, it actually did not specify a certain amount. What it was a chance to be able to say they're specifically going after millionaires, but actually what they're doing is they're building a new tax bracket to increase and be able to hit any taxation level possible later on. The law made it to where the Congress and Senate of this state, Washington, could make the decision to tax its people more and more and more without new bills. He said this is what's taking place in California. Now you're seeing this in Washington, and you're seeing this again with New York and New York State. This is happening. So you see the Democrats are pushing for all this. At the same time, Trump's telling you to stockpile everything and stockpile stuff with farming. At the same time, you have the exposure of the Epstein files that Mike Flynn's trying to warn you about. What we're seeing is the leadership class on both sides probably not actually leading us correctly. Wouldn't you agree? All right, I want to go to the school system before we go to the farms, and we're going to end up on the farm, but I want you to listen to this. This was actually shared by Alex Jones. It says, Rhode Island school ordered to paint a demon god Moloch. This is a school wall mural of a Moloch in their school system. Now, what they'll tell you is, well, we're just trying to balance out and give people knowledge. Actually, what they're doing is teaching your children about Satanist ways. And it's weird how we talk about Moloch and Baal and how, sacrificing minors. I mean, that's kind of what we were talking about, the Epstein files and all this other stuff about, sacrificing like they did in the Bible. Isn't it weird how now we're allowing this in our school system? And, you as the taxpayer, especially in Rhode Island, but this is happening all over, you're paying for this. You are paying for this. This is the same school systems that tell you can't pray in school, that you can't actually have the Ten Commandments in school, but they will allow you to have Moloch. This was actually shared by another person. It says, this is from Ramona Bessinger. It says, this is a school wall mural that we're starting to see in Jinx Middle School in Rhode Island, to where you're going to see images painted of the false god Moloch, to where it talks about the demon of child sacrifice and how they want to make sure their school has representation of this idol. I'm just blown away by this. Every day I thank God that I'm able to homeschool my children. I'm not, my wife is, that we can do it together. Because when I think about Hillary Clinton saying that the problem is the white Christian male, that means you're going to start seeing a push against white Christian male and their families. Now we see a situation where school systems will tell you can't pray in school. Tell your teachers, even in rural places like Mississippi, where you can't have a teacher with a Bible on the desk like they used to. Now some still do, but they're like, well, you can't talk about your faith on the school fields. We can't have the Ten Commandments in the school libraries. We can't have it in the hallways, but we can have Moloch sitting right there on the walls as a painted mural. No telling what they paid for that painted mural. And again, you got to ask yourself, why would they want a painted mural of a child sacrifice god? That just is mind-blowing to me. I want you to listen to this, what this conservative pundit said on social media. It says, I think it's time that we've realized as conservative parents that the world truly hates white conservative Christian families, or any family that chooses to make sure their children are grounded in morals and values. Listen, it says the only option is you have to remove your family from these public realms. You have to get out of the public schools and start homeschooling. Not only that, you have to realize that this world cannot teach your children what you're supposed to teach them as the family. I love this comment from Matt once. He says, I really don't see much of a solution of the problem other than homeschool. Even if conservatives attempt to get involved in the school system, and that's what's happening here, my local town, have all these people that are pushing like, we want to try to keep conservative Christianity in schools, and we're trying to promote that these public school systems, we're not going to let them fail. I'm sorry, I'm not part of that fight anymore, because I'm not willing to risk my children and sacrifice them to go to a fallen, depraved school that's going to teach indoctrination. Screw that. Sorry. I'm going to make sure that I'm not sacrificing my children. I could fight for the school system. I could fight for my tax dollars not to go to it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to put my kids in there. That means I'm going to let my kids be home, teach them morals and values, and let them understand that we're fighting to help the school system, but because we know the school system's broken, I don't want to put my kids there. So the solution is not, well, let's fight the system and put my kids as the sacrificial lamb there. No, we're saying I want to get away from that, because all they've done is indoctrinate my kids, tell you morals and values are based on some false gods or some government intervention in their life, and to tell you that we don't need the prayer in school, we don't need the Ten Commandments. One time, what we consider, the community school was based in churches. Did you know that? I know in the South, we had all our school systems were based on the church close to it. So if we had this Baptist church, they had a little school. We had this little area, had a little school. We had this little, and it was all based around the community church. No, that made sense, didn't it? But then when we allowed government to get involved, all it did was take God out of the, out of the school system, like they're trying to do with God out of all our lives, and tell you, well, we have free. You have that freedom, but we also have freedom to paint a Moloch on the side of a building. That is depraved. And that is what our kids are having to deal with each and every day. Along with bullying, along with the fact of indoctrinating teachers, along with the fact that they're not actually teaching us and our kids to being smarter. It's actually failed institutions. The educational department has made our kids dumber than smarter. And we're thinking that homeschool is not the answer. And if you listen to Zoram Mamdani, he actually is wanting to give more money to the school system that's already failing. Listen to Hillary Clinton. She says the educational system and the fall of America is because the white Christian male. That's the problem. Now, so I'm the problem now? It's unbelievable. Homeschool your children. Homeschool your grandchildren. If you can't, you better find a little community school. And they still exist. I know in Mississippi, we have 4 or 5 in my little town that they're little community schools where families may not get homeschool, but there's a very controlled situation where they may have like 5 or 10 kids, and it's a co-op situation where they all work together to pay this one teacher, maybe at a church, maybe at a facility, maybe in a community, but it's based on family. That is the answer. Break away from this system. Like I tell you about gold and silver, break away from the system of the dollar and crypto. Break away from the system of the farming crap that we get with glyphosate and all these chemicals because it's making us sick. That's why we're going to talk about the farm. One of the gravest threats is the farm. And what do I mean by that? 3 things, real quick. Well, the aging farmer. Aging farms are happening all over. The average age of a farmer right now is around 65 to 75. That means they're done, and their kids are not getting into it. Now, there are a few reasons why the kids are not getting into it. The cost of amendments, the fact that this commercial-style farming has become so high-priced because of the co-ops and the big businesses that are tied to it, people can't make it anymore. And third is we're selling all the farmland because of taxation. Families can't afford their farms, so they're having to sell it, and guess who's buying it? China. And people like Bill Gates. First, let's go to the Chinese land situation. This just came out again, and we've talked about this before, but listen to this. It says, this from Epoch Times, it says, China owns 277,336 acres of U.S. farmland right now. The investment of U.S. agricultural land has dispersed nationwide to where they're looking to take over the land in America by owning the farms to not only grow the food, but to control the food and to get the people to where they need China more. Now, 277,000 acres is a lot. When factory farms are coming in, they're buying up lands too. What happens is, see, this is the broken system. Say your family owns a lot of land, and that farmer either retires or dies. Do you know if he turns around and allows his family to own the land that he's paid for, that he's paid property tax on, they have to pay an estate tax. They have to pay a tax, a gift tax for that. So most of them have to sell their farm to pay the tax to the government. What is that? That's called a land grab. That's called government taking over my land. So they can't afford it. So therefore, a lot of people are not moving into it because it's a 7-day-a-week job. I know. I own a farm. I have to milk a cow no matter what. When it's raining, hailing, snowing, or absolutely hurricane weather, I have to milk those cows. I have to feed those animals. So it's grinding work, and people are not used to actually working anymore, I don't think. And now we have chemicals that are being stockpiled because they're worried about the food system being broken. So we have a lot of problems here. The aging farmer, big business or foreign entities coming in, and the fact that government's taxation and their plans is to pretty much ruin farms. Break away from the system, homeschool. Break away from the system, silver and gold. Break away from the system, be different. One major difference is start figuring out how to raise your own food. Look, I'm not trying to promote anything. I want you to understand there's value in growing food. Even if you can grow it on a patio garden, I've got tons of videos showing you things that can grow in buckets, things that can grow in raised beds, things that can grow as edible landscape. If you're in an HOA where you can't grow these big gardens, that's okay. Grow it in flower beds. There's so many things that you can grow to step away from the system. Man, there's a link to Survival Garden Seeds below. Get a stockpile of seeds because you know what? The biggest seed providers are owned by the same people that want you to quit growing food. And so they only dispense just a few seeds. So therefore, you feel like you have that freedom. But ultimately, they control the seeds. They can pull it at any time. Pick up a vault. I have a seed vault. Survival Garden Seeds sells a seed vault. They also tell you on the back of the package how to grow the food, how to make it work, and then how to save the seed for next year. That's called independence. That's the stuff that government don't want you to know. That's the stuff that the Democrats and the elite are telling you, no, let us handle the food system. That's what Mamdani is telling New York City. Look, we're going to overtax you, so therefore we can give you more free stuff. So then therefore you peasants and although you people can basically be imprisoned here where you can't leave because ultimately you're going to depend on me to provide for you. That's what we want to do with your children. It's so hard to have a mom at home now because it costs too much. So the father and mother both have to work out of the home. So we're going to teach your children. And by the way, we're going to paint a picture of Molech on your school system. We can't have those 10 commandments though. And, Hillary Clinton tells you, well, the problem with all of this is the white Christian male. Well, we need to invest in the dollar and crypto because that's the way of the future. Look, people, break away from the system. Buy some gold and silver. Stockpile some things for yourself. While Trump is telling people to stockpile phosphorus and glyphosate, you should be stockpiling food. Freeze-dried food. Big packs of stockpile food. Seeds. go down below. There's like a $10 discount on it. They don't pay me to say that, but I mean, there's a $10 discount off a Survival Garden Seeds vault. Go buy it. Don't be caught off guard. Why do you think Trump is telling everybody to stockpile? Why do you think all this is going on with Iran? Things are not going to get easier, so therefore you have to prepare. And I know people are like, oh, that's so stupid. You've been saying that for... You don't have to prepare if you don't want to. I bought another kit, another emergency medical kit. I have a link below. You can go check it out. I bought a lot more medicine from Jay Staley just the other day because of the situation with my son. I've been stockpiling seeds even though I grow my own seeds. I'm right now behind you, I'm incubating eggs. You can see that picture from yesterday's video. I'm making soap. I'm aging peppers. You know why? Because I believe in myself, and I believe what God's given us is knowledge and wisdom. I believe in God, of course, but it's one of those things where He gives us ability to say, you know what? We're the ones supposed to take care of our families, not the government, not Mandani, not Hillary Clinton, not even Donald Trump. Our goal is that God gave us smarts to take care of our family. I have 6 kids. You know what that means? That means 6 families are going to have legacy of mine, and so therefore I want to prepare them. The school system's not going to do that. Conventional farming's not going to do that. China and America and their governments are not going to do that. Who loves them more than anyone in this world? Me. Therefore, I want the best for them. I don't think that teacher that's teaching 100 other kids cares as much. She may care about her job, but does she care about my kid the way I do? No. I want the best for them, so therefore, I'm choosing to be apart from the system, not a part of the system. I want to be away from this way of living. I want to go to gold and silver. I want to have stockpile food. I want to have medicine put up. I want to do things different. I want to homeschool my children, because that, my friends, is the way that America, freedom, truly works. Guys, give me your thoughts on today's video. God bless you.